beautiful peeps. It's your girl, Chrissy, and this is Crystal Ballin, a weekly show in which I preview the 49ers schedule by interviewing an analyst from the opposing team and giving you spicy start and sit suggestions for your fantasy football lineups as well. We're going to jump right into things because wake the F up, faithful. It's 49ers versus Giants game day, baby. It's pumpkin spice season, and we are officially kicking off week 3 of the NFL, which just so happens to be in San Francisco for the home opener against New York. Yes, everybody thought that last weekend was our home opener, including myself, because it looked red AF, but it wasn't. We were at SoFi, Levi's Self, we like to call it. We won that game, and apparently, just looking at this week's matchup, before I bring on my guest, we have kind of a story rivalry with this team. My fandom actually began the year that the Giants took down the 49ers 20-17 in the NFC Championship game in 2011. Eli Manning and New York went on to win the Super Bowl that year, and I definitely felt my first heartbreak as a 49ers fan. Fast forward to today, and here we are with Brock Mother effing Purdy and Run CMC and the bestie that I have ever seen. You guys know we are one win at a time kind of team, and this week's Thursday night matchup features Danny Dimes and the New York Giants versus BCB and the Niners. So, of course, I had to bring on my girl, the absolute queen of White Claws, someone who makes me scream dad at my TV whenever CMC runs it in for a touchdown and is even named the FedEx Ground NFL Player of the Week like he was last week. She's someone I've looked up to in the fantasy community and even makes me want to take up golfing and gambling. She's sassy and hilarious, and on game day, when our two teams don't play against each other, I'm usually cheering for her team because she truly has an infectious fandom for her Giants. Everyone, please give a mini cheer to the host of the Stephie Smalls show, the legend herself, Stephie Smalls.
Oh my God, you're the best. I'm so glad that we're able to do this. Thank you so much for having me on. It's funny, it was probably 2 years ago. Here I am telling stories already. I have a 49ers shirt. Because I was rooting for you guys in the playoffs. I know it's like a cardinal sin to have, another NFC team shirt, but I do have a 49ers shirt.
I love that. Just randomly, or did you?
I bought it for the playoffs. I forget who you guys were playing. Might have been the Packers potentially, but
probably.
Yeah, I'm not showing up to this party in anything other than the 49ers. That was all. And I love Jimmy G.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I'm sad that he's gone, but it is what it is. Okay, so I've been meaning to obviously have you on for something like this for a very long time. Both of us have been in this industry kind of for a while, and I look up to you so much, so thank you again for coming on. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the Giants game, but before we get to that, I kind of want to just do a little get to know you vibe because my followers mainly are 49ers fans. So in case they don't know who you are, go follow her right now because she's amazing. But in case they don't, we are going to shoot the shit a little bit first. Your journey into the sports industry has kind of been crazy. You were born and raised in Connecticut, which I saw. I did some research on you. You went to the University of Arizona, you went to med school, and then you decided to kind of do your own thing. So tell me how you got to where you are today. What kind of motivated you to just go bet and go all in on yourself?
Yeah, it's crazy because you say you looked up to me, but I feel like you were one of those names that I looked up to when I first re-downloaded my Twitter, still in school, studying at night, doing content during the day, not really knowing what I was doing even. I was just kind of talking about the Giants, and then one thing led to another, and I got a full-time offer, and I wasn't super happy because I like to do things 100%. You're doing something 50%, the other thing 50%. I'd rather do one thing 100%. So the plan was to take the semester off so that I could give it my all. And then it went from taking the semester off to being like, you know what, this is fun. I'm happy. Let's see where things go. And it's been the best thing ever. It's very stressful to be in the industry, as you very much know. I give you so much credit for also being a mother and making it through a season without a beverage, because I don't know if I could have done that. But I it's very rewarding, and being a female in the space it's hard, but it's very hard, not just hard. But being able to just push through and do what you love is awesome.
And you've got to do so many cool events. I've watched you go cover the Senior Bowl and all these amazing things. Of everything that you've been able to be a part of, which has kind of been your favorite so far, and why?
Yeah, it's got to be, and I know we'll talk about the Giants later, but going to that playoff game last year versus the Vikings was just amazing. It's been a very long time. Not that that's happening right now during this season, but it's been a while since the Giants gave me like, that same happiness that I got when I was growing up because, early 2000s, the Giants were a good team, won 2 Super Bowls. They were still stressful as they are right now, but that game was so much fun. And US Bank is amazing. Vikings fans are very kind, very welcoming.
Oh, good.
A really, really fun game to be a part of, to see like what this new regime in the future and what that looks like.
Amazing. And how did you even become a Giants fan in the first place? Like, I know we'll talk more about the actual game itself with the Niners and whatnot, but like your fandom, where did that come from growing up in Connecticut and all that?
Well, you will love this. So just that I'll give a little like context to this. So in Connecticut, depending on where you are, you really have 3 options. You're either a Patriots fan, a Jets fan, or a Giants fan. So I was a Giants fan. I was born and raised a Giants fan. I actually got my fandom from my mom. My mom is the football fan. So not that my dad doesn't like football because he loves the Giants and he would take us to training camp, but my mom was always the passionate one. And it was like Sundays, you're in Italy, you know this. So on Sundays, it was just going to grandma's house, spaghetti, meatballs, and you watch the Giants. And it was just like, that is how I was born and raised. Like, I remember crying when I got Plaxico's jersey. I've told this story a couple of times, and I was so proud to wear that to school. But because my mom and I had matching ones, like it was so fun. Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing that with my daughter right now. I'm sure you've seen the videos and stuff. I'm like, she has no choice because my husband's a Patriots fan, of course. And so I'm like, no, you can have the Boston Celtics. I'm sure you see this. You can have the NBA team. I get the NFL team because like NFL's
that's how it works.
Yeah, that's how
you got to split at some point. But that's awesome. And I think like that's something like even us, like being females, like being able to pass on that and let it be inclusive and involve girls in the sport is honestly one of my favorite things.
It's huge. Okay, but looking at the dads, and we're going to get into like the other types of dads afterwards, but I've seen your tweets about your dad and how much, like he's proud of you about what you've done and the journey that you've kind of taken in your life. And it's amazing. How much does his support through your journey mean to you as well?
Yeah, my dad, I always say, like, I am so fortunate for the parents that I have. My parents are actually divorced, and you'd never be able to tell. Like, I don't have this, like this sad story, and I feel for people that do, but my parents did it in such a beautiful way. They're still best friends, and my dad he is my biggest support and the nicest person in the entire world. Like, he gives for everyone. So he's a physical therapist. He opens his office twice a week at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. so that people can come in before work. He has done nothing in his life but give to people. A little bit, obviously, your daughter going from being a doctor to swearing on her own sports show and encouraging gambling was a little bit of a turn, but at the same time, like, I think that, and you get this more than I do because I only have a dog, but like seeing your kids happy is all that really matters. And I think that there's a lot of ways to succeed. And yes, I didn't use every degree I had. Well, bless his soul for paying for it. I appreciate him for it. But I think part of that is just whatever your kids want. Like, I remember, like, I did so many extracurriculars, Spanish class and flute and piano and cheerleading and softball, like anything that we wanted, we just needed like a good reasoning. So like, if you asked for something, it would be why. If you didn't have a good reason, no, like, get out of my face. You're not fucking doing that. And I think with that, like, I think that now, like, it's built like such a beautiful relationship between my father and I.
Yeah, I have the same kind of relationship with my dad. He's a Raiders fan, but like he's been everything to me. Like he went through, like he's still going through like leukemia right now. It's kind of been nuts, but he's been like my biggest fan of everything that I do. And like everything, I'm always like, you know what, Dad, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like, okay, I believe in you. Do what you want to do. If you're happy, I'm happy, right? And that's how it should be. Girl dads are the best thing ever.
Yeah, I think they make really strong, like, independent women. Like, I think that
100%.
My friends joke too, and I've said this before, but we always joke there's two two types of daddy problems. And one of them is having an awesome, fantastic dad that's really
100%.
hard to live up to. And I think that like both of our dads from what I've seen, like they have made that a very hard challenge.
Yeah, it took me a long time to find a guy that I was like, okay, yeah, you're worth it, because everybody else just did not compare.
Yep,
And that is a problem in itself, right? But like, yeah, it's a good
well,
problem.
I'm not saying it's not a problem.
Okay, so kind of on the topic of like, I was just holding my drink. I usually ask this with who would you go for with a beer, but I'm gonna switch it up because like I know that you love your White Claws and everything, and like honestly, it's so sad I can't get that shit at all here. They don't have White Claws in Italy, which is terrible. They have wine and Aperol, but it's fine. So if you could go for a White Claw with any of the former or current Giants players, who would you choose and why?
That is such a good question. Victor Cruz has to be up there because he's behind me. The thing is, like, I love a good like underdog story. I like people that like can come back from adversity. Like, I'd love to go salsa with him too. Why not? Outside of him, like, I honestly think Eli Manning is probably one of the coolest people to shoot the shit with. Very big. If I could go back and ask Plaxico why the hell he, the gun incident happened, I'd love to do that. But I think that he was my favorite player for so long. Brandon Jacobs. I mean, the list goes on and on. I think that those teams, like those two Super Bowls, both of those teams, like some of my absolutely favorite. OCU. Oh my God. Yeah. If I could get them all together, that'd be a blast.
Oh my God, love it. You know what? I have to tell you something. So like, this is something I don't tell a lot of people, and now everybody's going to see this. Before I was a 49ers fan, so like I started following the Niners when my stupid ex-boyfriend got me into the team. Growing up in Canada, I know, it's always somebody, right? But growing up in Canada, like we had CFL, we didn't have football. So like when I was growing up, I didn't care. I loved hockey. Like I was all in on hockey. And then I met this guy and he's like, 49ers. Yeah. And I'm so glad because I took the team from him basically. And now I'm doing my thing and I love it. But before that, my brother-in-law is a huge Cowboys fan and I wanted to troll him. And I'm like, you know what? Just for a couple of Super Bowls, I'm going to cheer for the Giants. And I was like, oh, Eli Manning's kind of cute. Like I'm going to cheer for the Giants.
I love it. I love it.
This is something I've never told people because like they're like, who did you cheer for before the Niners? And it was kind of the Giants.
So funny. It always happens that way. Like it's funny because growing up, like I always joked around that my second team was like the Houston Texans, just because I had friends that, the random non-Jets, Giants, Patriots fans, they always had random teams. And I had like a group of guy friends that rooted for, I think it was Jacksonville, honestly. And I was like, well, I like Houston. Not that paid off very well for me, but so I have like a special place in my heart, but that's so funny. The Giants were fun. They used to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
They still are fun to watch. They're just like always, they kind of find a way to get the job done sometimes.
Exactly. And you guys have this amazing coach now that like comes up in a fucking truck and he looks badass, right? So I kind of love him.
Yeah. Some of these coaches are so, I mean, that Shanahan too, but some of these coaches to me are just so likable. Like Arthur Smith too. I think he's doing a fantastic job in Atlanta, and he's just likable. He's a good coach. I like to bet on good coaches. Vrabel is another one. So Tomlin, some of my favorite coaches, they find ways to just get it done.
Amazing. Yeah. For me, it's Dan Campbell. I love him. I hear his like speeches and I get so jacked up. I'm like, I could run through a wall right now.
I know. It's so cool. Like living it because I'm in Michigan now. And it's been fun to be kind of like part of the Lions journey. It'll be like 2 years in October. And it's been cool to see my friends, because a lot of, Lions fans here, and see them get excited about the Lions again, and, be bought in. So it's been fun.
Okay. That's random that you're in Michigan now. How did that happen?
Boy. We all know how it happens. It's so funny. Sometimes I'm just like, because Connecticut didn't have gambling, I need to change the scenery, and all those things are true. I think, something about me, and I think you're probably similar, is like, I like adventures. I don't like to just sit still. And, there's a reason why I've lived all over the place. I lived in the Caribbean. I went to school in Arizona from Connecticut. Like, I like to take chances on myself. And, I think that there's always a way, like, oh, if it doesn't work out, then I just go home. It's not that big of a deal. There's always, I'm very thankful that I have supportive parents that probably, are, my dad's bald for a reason at this point. I'm sure I contributed to that a little bit, but, I'll just take a chance. And Michigan's beautiful. It's just these winters. So
yeah.
it's no Italy. I'll tell you that much.
Okay, well, we get cold here too. I know everyone's always like, "Oh my God, Italy," but like it's cold as fuck in the winter. So like, I'm not looking forward to it, but it's fine. It's fine. I do live in Italy. It's wine country. It's amazing. Lots of good pasta. But the timing sucks. Like our game is at 2:15 in the morning for me.
Oh my gosh.
It's fine. Like that's why having a baby is a good thing because like she gets you used to like being up.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So when oh my gosh, so that's rough. So then what time are you watching like the 1 o'clock slate? So
like for you guys, 1 o'clock is 7 p.m. for me.
Oh my God.
And then like this past weekend when we played the Rams, it was 10:05. So that 10:05 and 7 I can do, but like the nighttime, like primetime games, whenever I see it on the schedule, I'm like, no.
And they have a lot of them. So it's rough to do that. Oh my gosh, it's brutal. Do you have to rewatch a lot of games then?
No, I stay up for all of them. I'm fully invested. I drink like espresso. I'm having like wine and whatever throughout the night. And like, what the good thing is? The one good thing about having a baby during football season, like I'm still on mat leave and I have mat leave up until like when the season's done. So even if I stay up late, I can sleep the whole night, the whole next day. And like, she like wakes up, but like my husband works from home. So it's kind of a nice give and take. You know what I mean?
That's amazing. That works out, honestly, to enjoy the season. It's a good one to enjoy too.
Exactly. Okay, so we're going to focus a little bit on the dads again, but this time not like our dads. We're going to look at like, okay, who would you crown your number one daddy of all time? For me, just before you answer yours, it's Jimmy G. And it's not the reason that everyone's like, oh, Jimmy G, he's so hot. Yeah, he's hot. He's got that jawline. He's everything. But like, for me, like I've been a Niners fan since 2011. We've been through it. Like there's not been a franchise quarterback. There's not been, I've witnessed 2 Super Bowl losses in my time. I've never seen the Super Bowl wins, which is terrible. Everyone's like, oh yeah, you have a dynasty. No, not me. Like I never witnessed any of that. I can't take credit for it. But like for me, when Jimmy came in, he kind of saved my fandom because like I'd kind of gone through it. We had Jim Tomsula and like Chip Kelly. Like we went through it. There was a lot of shit that went on. 2015, all our team quit. Like everybody was done. Patrick Willis retired. He was my favorite player. Like all this shit happened.
Yeah.
And then we get Shanahan and he kind of turned everything around. Jimmy comes through. He brings us to a Super Bowl. He like has these winning seasons with him. And yes, he's beautiful to look at. So like for me, he's my like number one dad. I crown him that because my fandom, like he gave me hope again. It's more than just like how he looks, right? So like for you, who is that for you?
Honestly, like I will go outside the box and rather like instead of taking a Giants player, I will take someone, and I just talked about him on my show, but like I like to root for the underdogs, the players that don't get enough respect. And one of those players is Kirk Cousins. And this guy has been through like so much. He hasn't had a team that will just love him for what he is. He is so talented. He embodies the word dad too, but like, I love Kirk Cousins. He, every year, like even in fantasy football, obviously I play almost too much of that, too many leagues, but year in and year out, he continues to win leagues for me too, because he's so consistent. You know what you're getting. And I think a lot of the negativity comes from, you watch him in primetime. Yes, he's blown a couple primetime games, but even this last game, like the Vikings probably deserve to win that game. And a lot of that is when Kirk is on, he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And it sounds dramatic, but it's not. Like if you're a stat guy, the stats are there. If you're an eyeball test guy, you can do that as well. But he's one of the guys that I think I would say is my dad. If I had to do a Giants one that wasn't Daniel Jones, because he's another one that I think deserves more credit.
Oh, I see
it's
the
probably like, oh man, I don't even know.
Was the OBJ ever up there for you?
No, it's so funny. Like that was a weird time in my life. 1, 2, OBJ, I feel like it always felt too good to be true, kind of. And I felt like the team wasn't ready for him. And I think that proved to be true. Obviously, it was fantastic. Hurt very much when he left, but he wasn't ever up there for me, actually.
Interesting. Okay.
He's very attractive. Like he is very hot. I'll give you that much.
This baby's really cute too. Oh man.
Oh my gosh, so cute. Yeah, he was never really up there for me, which probably sounds ridiculous, but he wasn't.
No, it's fine. Like he had a lot of drama. I remember the whole thing where he married the friggin' what was it, the net? Like,
Oh my
did you see
God.
that?
It's one of my favorite gifts to use. I haven't used that in a while. I have to pull it back out.
So good. Okay, but like side note, where did the whole dad thing even start? Because like you're somebody that I saw do it a lot, and like I started doing it because of how much you did, and I kind of love that.
It's hilarious too because sometimes I'll get like little chirpy comments like, "Oh, she definitely has daddy problems." Like, no, I don't. Listen, I got the best dad in the world. I bet he's better than yours, but this is so stupid. Like, I don't think I've ever told people where this came from. It is the most random thing. So when I first moved to Michigan, a bunch of us went to like concert, and Chelsea Cutler was playing. She was not very good. And our one friend was drunk, and he kept saying, "Chelsea Cutler is my mom." And he kept screaming it. And then I don't know. I was just, then the next day it was Sunday, and I'm like, Daniel Jones is my dad. Like I was just, and then from there it just spiraled. Like it just kept going. And it caught on. And it's funny how some of those things like catch on, and people, your brand gets associated with stuff like, I know you have a Jimmy G bikini. Like I like know that you have that. I know that you're the Jimmy G girl. Like that is a part of like your brand. But I think that makes like people like us, at least, people know that about us.
I know. I have a tattoo for him. I don't know if you knew that.
I do. Oh, I know that. Yeah, I know. I thought that was iconic when I found that out. I have to step it up. I think I have to get dad tattooed somewhere.
Dude, I was going to say, get dad. Like,
I have to. Where is your tattoo?
It's like under my ass. So
okay, yeah. Oh my God, I love it.
And it says feels great, baby. So like, I kind of like.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I remember. I know. I still owe everyone a Dable tattoo on my butt because I said that they were at least a 500 team, I would do that. I'm wondering if I can get away with like not his face and just write Dable on my butt.
Dable would be fine. I think we'd take it. Like I'd take it. Okay, dude, we could talk about dads forever because like honestly, I have a lot of them, not just my dad. But we are gonna look at now the Thursday nighter, the 2 a.m. game for me. I usually hate them because like it's Colts versus Texans. And like, I know you said Texans, but it's like boring ass games that I don't want to be up for. But we've got our guys, and you do a lot of like same game parlays. And like for me, that's huge because I'm not able to bet at all in Italy. And so like I live vicariously through all your bets and everything. It's fine. It's fine. I like text my friends like, can you bet on this for me?
Can you do this for me,
please? Like, so which parlay are you looking at in the Niners and Giants matchup? Like what should we be betting on?
Yeah, honestly, and I think that he's someone that's been quiet. Again, it's like, and you know this from being a Niners fan, like I think this is a big Kittle game. I think that the Giants are not very good against tight ends. I think that there's a good opportunity for Kittle here to just be that guy. I think his receiving yards prop is way too low. You can find it out there I'm sure it's moved now, but at one point 40.5, one of the books had opened it at way too low. 42.5. It'll probably close around 43.5, but you'll get minus 114. Pretty good odds there. I also like, this is so random, I like Purdy's rush yards over the 7.5 because he can do this in one play. I think
he has done that in one play. He can do that in a sneak.
Yeah. I think exactly. And I think it's interesting to look at. I haven't looked at his numbers yet. I'd be interested to see what Debo's numbers look like. And I think
he's going to go high. Yeah.
I think so too. I think that looking at even his rushing and receiving. Also, I think there's an opportunity to bet on Mitchell here because CMC, like this game is most likely going to get out of control. So I think that at some point they might be like, okay, we don't really need CMC right now. Let's just go on the ground, beat the Giants the way that a lot of these teams have been beating them, run the ball. And maybe that goes through Mitchell. So I'd be interested to see what that is. I did take, and I know this is like, I'm coming on, you're a Niners fan, but I think Purdy is a little due for an interception.
He's going to throw one, yeah.
I think so. And it's Thursday night football. I love to take them on Thursday night football. Yeah. And there's a book right now that has it at plus 215. He hasn't thrown one since week 16 last season, including the playoffs. So like we're talking not just like week 16. And then the Giants, they haven't gotten an interception since week 18 last year. They were very close last week. They have two really, I mean, thank God for these two rookies in the secondary there. I think that someone is due, and I think it's just the perfect combination between Wink and the way he likes to blitz. And not that I think the Giants are winning this game. I just think that that's an opportunity for them that will probably present itself despite Shanahan being a king at putting his quarterbacks in like the perfect situation always.
And so, okay, obviously you guys are without Saquon. This is tragedy. It sucks. I honestly, like, I have him in a couple of my leagues and like not happy about it, but it is what it is. How do you think that the Giants will honestly fare without him?
Yeah, honestly. So, I mean, again, you watch 49ers games, you're a 49ers fan. Like the Giants were like, you can't beat this team on the ground regardless. What concerns me is Saquon is very important to this team's pass protection. And I think that that's the only way to really find success against the 49ers is you're going to have to air the ball out. So they're going to have to come up with something to be able to fill those gaps, especially you don't have Andrew Thomas out, who is you've got two of the most important guys on the team. Might as well have Danny out at that point. But I think that I'm hoping that the team that we saw in the second half of that Cardinals game is the team that we get on Thursday Night Football. It's not fun to get blown out. It's not fun. No. You stop, like, it sucks. And it's been a while since, at least in the Gettleman era, we're getting blown out. Even in the Joe Judge era, we're not losing 40-0. That game got out of control. I think that this game is going to come down to how many mistakes do the Giants make? So they got to clean shit up. Like you can't pull that against the 49ers. They're too talented.
Okay, honestly, just a side note, it makes me so, like, it curdles my bones that it's the friggin' Cowboys. Like, that happened. I hate the Cowboys so much. And you guys, I was mic'd up badly, man.
I was mic'd up on a documentary for Paramount Plus during that. And I told them, get this mic off of me. Because I originally said no because I don't watch games. I normally don't watch games like that with people because I'm just too invested. I get that it's weird. Like I know, I got it. But I was like, you have to get this mic off of me. Like and the first drive looked good. Once they blocked that kick, I looked over with the guy I was watching it with. I go, we're about to get our butts handed to us. I knew it. You can't make that many mistakes. They're a really young team. I think that was, we'll see it level out across the league. Some of these games, like Arizona will probably score points against Dallas. Like, I don't think they're blowing out Arizona.
I hope
they're going to kick Arizona's butt. But yeah, it's painful to watch Dallas, like, and for the all off season for years, like Dallas fans, how they are on Twitter. Like, it's brutal. So to see them come into MetLife, which we are a better road team, I will say, come into MetLife and just like kick our butts, not fun.
No, my brother-in-law is a Cowboys fan, like I said earlier, and it just like, it irked me. I was like, no, of all the teams and of all the teams for Trey Lance to go to, like, don't even get me fucking started with that situation.
Oh my gosh. No, God.
It's all good. We're on to week 3 anyway. So like, you never know what's going to happen. Right. Yeah. And like I said, like the Niners, these kind of games have always been tricky for us where everyone's like, yeah, this is the game we're going to, like, no problem. We're going to win. We normally lose these games. Like, this is the game I think of last season against the Falcons. Everyone's like, yeah, no problem. We're going to beat the Falcons. They beat us. So, like, this is going to be a good one. And I'm sorry already if I'm going to be tweeting nonsense. Like,
it'll be fine. I'll do the same way. I probably will be more like upset. But at the same time, like, there's a little blessing in disguise in week 1 because like we already got blown out. Like, what else? Like, there's nothing worse than that. Like, there's nothing worse than that game. I just don't believe that it can get worse than that. No. So like, I'm expecting the worst. Like, I'm expecting to not. All I want is to see them carry over what they did in the second half. Yeah. And score some points. Like, I'm not even asking, like, just stay in the game. And that's not something we saw like years ago. Like just stay in the game, be somewhat competitive, like Wink, the defense, like that's going to be the big player in this game.
So looking at the game itself, give me your small 3 keys to the Giants getting the dub this year, this game.
Yeah. Daniel Jones, like he needs, first of all, and it's not even really his fault, but like he needs to air the ball out. They need designed runs. Like I want to see Daniel running the hell out of the ball. Like do what you did that second half. The defense is everything too. Like we cannot have a ghost game out of Kayvon. Giants Twitter has been outrageously rude about him, which is fine. Like he's a second-year player. Let him get comfortable. These have been brutal losses. Defense is on the field for a really long time. Like he's gassed. You can't get comfortable in a system like that. So Wink and this secondary and blitzing Purdy and getting, hopefully putting enough pressure on him that he does make mistakes. And then after that, I mean, honestly, it's this O-line, which stinks. Like they're bad. Andrew Thomas is not there. I cannot believe in the year 2023, I am still talking about how bad this O-line is. But that's really important. Daniel Jones needs time to be upright. It's very easy to ridicule Jones, but like being upright like that, you got to be able to keep him up so he can do what he does best. Let him air the ball out. He's good at throwing a deep pass. Yeah. And I think our D-line has just been quiet. So like your O-line versus our D-line, I think there's opportunities, but you have to make the most of them. So it's not like, oh, apply pressure. No, like Dexter needs sacks. Kayvon needs like we need more pressure. Our defense has been pretty quiet, and that's what helped us a lot at the end of last year.
Right. Oh man, I was rooting for you guys last year. It was kind of sad because like I'm an underdog person too, and you guys went up against them, and I'm like, no, like please get it. But it's okay. You know, and you never know where the season's gonna go. Last year we started 3-4, and then we ended up in the NFC Championship game. So you never know. Keep the faith.
Honestly, all I want, and I said this at the beginning, like I don't even really. And Giants fans hate when I say this, but I don't care. I don't really care what our record is. I want to beat the Cowboys once, and I want to beat the Eagles once. Like we were 1-4-1 last year in the division. We suck in the division. Like we have not been even in contention to win the division or even come in third, fourth, second, whatever. Like we have not been good. Like I just want to see. I know almost being the Eagles in Week 18 does not count. Like I want to actually go out there. Beat the Cowboys. I'm hoping we're a different team. We go there. We're better road teams, hopefully. But I care more about stuff like that. Like, just show me progress. Like, we got to figure out this O-line thing or it's going to get ugly pretty fast.
Dude, I know your tweet about the O-line. I'm like, that's so on point. Like, I say that all the time with the Niners too, because that's, I think, our weakest link as well is the O-line. Like, Trent Williams is amazing. Don't get me started on him. But I mean, like there have been flaws in the O-line with us. And like the quarterback always got sacked and there was a lot of issues before. So like that's something that scares me. Although Purdy, I think, is like pretty aware of the pocket and it's good. But anyways, okay,
who do you think is gonna have like a big game now? I wonder, like 49ers wise. Like I know CMC, very obvious, like
we're not even going to talk about him anywhere. Like I was going to do this thing where I was going to talk about him every week, and I'm not because like I think he's
unnecessary. Yeah, it's like
everyone's like, do I start CMC this week? Like, you fucking do. Like,
I can't believe I was surprised that his prop was like so low. It was like 77.5 rushing yards, which is crazy. I'm sure you probably get a better number if you combine his receiving, which is in play. But him to score a touchdown is minus 320. Like I don't remember the last time I saw that.
Is that low? I don't know. I don't do the gambling thing very much.
Literally like ridiculous. Like you're not even, there's no point in in betting that.
Okay. So for me, I'm looking at Debo a lot in this game because right now, like I even wore it. Now, Shanahan said that Ayuk's a game time decision because of what he suffered a shoulder injury. So we don't know what's going on with him. I think Shanny's like kind of sneaky and he doesn't like to tell people what's going on. I think Ayuk gets the start, but I don't think they utilize him as much. So I'm looking at Debo in this one. I think he's going to have an amazing game. Yeah. I have both Debo and Ayuk in a couple leagues. And so like, for me, it's like, okay, do I start one or the other? This week it's Debo. I just have this feeling. I think he's going to be like ground and catching and like, he's one of the yak bros. I know what you said about Kittle. I'm like scared with Kittle because I just know they utilize him a lot more as a blocker and stuff now, right? Like he's not as much of a like, I don't know. He has to have that connection with Purdy and then like he's going that game. Yeah. But I just don't see it. I don't know. I like what you said about him and I want to believe because I have him in a couple leagues, but
yeah, I know people are really nervous about him. And he's also a guy where like, you let him be a factor when he needs to be a factor. Does he really need to be a factor this game outside of blocking? I don't really know about that. So it'll be interesting to see. I also think against this defense, he probably could do some damage, but he's a tight end. That's why I was a little worried about people drafting him this year. Like the team can get by without him being more than just like him blocking is enough. So when they need him, they use him and then save him for the playoffs. Like that's like they're lucky enough to have that. And I think that Kittle's the guy that has spike weeks. And I just like tight ends on Thursday night. You know, you guys are I don't know how I feel about Waller against San Francisco, but I think his receptions is something to look at. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him.
Are you pumped about that pickup, by the way? Because I saw when he went like from Vegas, because he just married, what's her name? The Aces.
Oh my God, why can't I think of it?
Kelsey Plum.
Yeah. Kelsey Plum.
And like I was so sad. I'm like, oh my God, he's gone from Vegas. Like what? But like I'm kind of for him being with the Giants.
Interesting to see if she I don't know what her deal looks like because I don't follow WNBA that much. I should more. Very fun to watch actually. But it'll be interesting to see if she ends up like signing with one of these New York teams now that he is there. But I was pumped. Like the thing is, like with this team, and it's remarkable what they've been able to even like last year, crazy. Like we have got Isaiah Hodgins. We literally took off of Bill's practice squad. Like some of these guys would never even get a fighting chance to play in a game, and he starts and he's consistent. And he's not a household name. The best, receiving option outside of Saquon, obviously, was Golden Tate. And like not Golden Tate, like you remember Golden Tate, like a lot of tread on those tires. Like that's the best option that Daniels had. So for them to go out, trade Tony, turn Tony into a 6th-round like cornerback that is now starting for us and Darren Waller plus more is impressive. So it's been a while since they made a splash. We're not even going to talk about Kenny Galladay all day. I think that, this regime just makes up. And I love Darren Waller. Like, I think that he's the perfect fit for this offense, allows them to run a lot of like 12 personnel. And he's been reliable. Like it's so crazy. I was just saying this on my show. Like he's leading the tight ends in receiving yards, but I feel like he hasn't done anything yet. Like that shocks me because I watched the game and I feel like he's not really that much of a factor yet. Last game, he was a little bit, but I don't even think we've scratched the surface of what his floor is on this team.
It's just every other tight end this year so far has done shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never drafting Kyle Pitts again. Like, I won't do it. I don't know why everyone's like, yeah, Kyle Pitts. Like, no.
I avoided it in most leagues. I have him in I'm in 29 leagues. I have him in one dynasty.
Oh God.
I know it's bad. I know I have a problem. I need help. And this is listen, like this is my child. These are my children. Like it's awful. It's a full-time job. It's horrible. I'm going to cut down next year, but like I only have him in one dynasty left. I traded him away and then I have him in one redraft, but he fell to like the 8th round. And I was like, I got to do it at that point. Yeah. I'm just hoping. The thing is, Arthur Smith doesn't need him to win. And he's showing just that.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. So on the flip, is there anybody that you're looking at on the Giants bench that you're just like, no, I'm not going to start them this week?
I think that people should be really skeptical of, like, I know Saquon is out and people love to like pick guys up off waivers and start them because you think you're going to have like a boom week. The issue is like San Francisco is very good at stopping the run. They have proved that time and time again. Like, I think you're going to see these 3 guys probably split any type of like all the targets are probably going to be divided between the 3. I think that, Brightwell could be the one that comes out of this. And and the one that gets the touchdown has the most rushing yards. Maybe it's not Breida. Maybe they're using Breida to just pick up.
Oh, we had Breida before.
I love Breida, but he's also not Breida when you guys had him, right? Like it's not this speedy. Like he's a little bit older, a little bit chunky, like chunky of a rusher, not chunkier, not chunkier. Yeah. I love Breida. It'll just be interesting to see what they do, and then you have the young guy, Eric Gray, that they've been using for punt return. So I think that these, you know, these running backs you have to be a little bit weary of, because it might be, maybe it's Gray, maybe it's Brightwell, maybe it's Breida. I don't know how they're going to scheme. I think that Wan'Dale Robinson, if he is active, is an interesting person to look at, because they can use him kind of in like a 2-2 Atwell role, the way that you guys saw him last week. I think that, you know, Darius Slayton is someone that if I'm in some of these deeper leagues, I'm okay with throwing him in a flex as long as he catches the ball. Like he's someone that I would look at for longest, like what his longest reception prop is. But I think they try to get the rookie involved too, Jalen Hyatt. Like you saw when Daniel throws the ball, good things happen. You just got to give him the time to do it. So it'll be interesting to see how they use the speed against you guys. But it's going to be a rough game. I'm ready for it. Well, you're never ready for it, but I think that the Giants should fare, I won't say well, but they should be, they should be okay. They just have to capitalize on mistakes and not make mistakes. So it's going to come up to error. That's what matters.
You know what? We're hoping for just a good game. I love it when it's a close game.
I don't care if we win. I just want a good game. I don't want to get
a good game. None of this like 6-3 bullshit that we've seen. Like, let's like Thursday night football is notorious for like boring, sleepy games. I'm like, why did I stay up for this? So I'm hoping it's just like a shootout. Like somehow, like you guys are just throwing the ball. It's just amazing. High gets like 3 touchdowns.
Thursdays get weird. I'll tell you that much. They do get weird.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is my last question, and like. This is kind of going off of just like before when I was talking to you about how like, you know, you quit out of school, and I kind of did the same thing. I don't know if people know this about me, but like I quit out of broadcasting school. I have my journalism degree, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Toronto and I'm going to get my degree in like sports broadcasting and everything.
We're so similar.
And like I go and I'm doing all these things and I'm like, I could do this on my own. And one thing stood out to me that like finally was the major decision. Obviously COVID happened and like everything went to online. So we were going to a physical school and like, I'm paying all this money for the school that I'm like, I can use my own equipment at home. Why the hell am I paying all this money? That's another story in itself. But I'm doing this project and my teacher's like, look, you need to interview an athlete. Try to get a professional one, but like, obviously you're not going to get an NBA guy or an NFL or whatever. And I'm like, okay, bet. Like, I'm going to try and get an NFL player because like, fuck you for saying I can't do this.
Right.
When somebody says I can't do something, I do it.
That's how I am.
I reached out to Patrick Willis of all people. And I'm like,
really?
I found his email. I'm like, I'm going to shoot him an email. And he's like somebody that I had always looked up to. And like my ex was such a piece of shit to me. And it was his favorite player too. And
amazing how that happens, right?
Oh, it was fantastic. So like Patrick Willis went through abuse like with his dad and everything when he was younger. And like my ex was piece of shit abusive too.
So was mine. Interesting.
This is how they are. Of course. Anyways, we're not going to focus on them. They suck. But like he kind of pushed me to go towards what I'm doing now, which is like full circle and it's amazing. So I don't care.
Yeah.
But I reached out to Willis. I sent him an email and I'm like, look, like I'm doing this project. Can I interview you for it? I know this is last minute, but like, I look up to you. You're the reason I fell in love with 49ers football. Like, I'd love to interview you. Didn't hear anything back. And like, I'm like about to go on this show that like for my school, I had to go on like an anchor desk, like, you know, those, where you read a script and shit. That's like not me at all. Like I like doing what we're doing right now, but like, anyways, as soon as I'm about to go on, I get an email back from him and he's like, yeah, for sure. Gives me the interview. It's the best interview I've ever had of my life with an NFL, like anybody player.
I love it.
Like incredible. And I got off that interview and like, he's sitting in his RV. He looks amazing. I get out of this interview and I'm like, why the hell am I in this school? Like, I don't need this school for anything. This teacher literally told me I could never get an NFL player.
Yeah.
I ended up getting an NFL player. It's like all this to say, if there's somebody out there, like I know I doubted myself and I'm sure you've had your doubts too. Like it's just it's natural, right? Like, if there's somebody out there, especially a female that's looking at like what we're doing right now. And they're like, I would love to get into this industry. Like love to get into the gambling, love to get into like fantasy football, whatever it is.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you have to that person to kind of get to where they want to go?
Yeah, I think don't stand down. Like it's not going to be easy. And like, even coming from medicine, I mean, like my bachelor's degree is in speech therapy and language science. Like I and then I worked in the ER, and I was in, like, I've done the male world. Like I've done that, and I saw it a lot, you know, in school, in med. Like you deal with that, you're going to deal with it in the same way that you kind of do. You don't have to prove yourself is the thing. You need to, that's the biggest thing. Do not feel like you need to prove yourself, because the second you start doing that, you're actually doubting yourself by doing that. Yeah. So being confident, believing in yourself, and like leaning on other females. Like, you know, I went through my own hurdles. Some people know, some people don't know. It doesn't really matter. Like and you were someone that reached out to me during that time. And I think it's really important to lean on other females. And don't think everyone's out to get you, because that was my mistake for a little bit. Like there are really good people in the world. There's a lot of bad people for sure. But I think like being confident, not backing down, because we all know you don't get your knowledge. Like my favorite line, you don't get your knowledge from your penis. You get it from your brain, and we all have brains, right? So it's a ridiculous comment. I don't need to play. I don't need to play football for me to be able to love this sport. And I think honestly, just believe in yourself. If you're going to take the leap, you better believe.
Hell yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that. Stephie, thank you so much. You've been such an inspiration. Like, honestly, I look at everything you're doing, and it's one of the reasons I started this podcast, because I'd been so nervous. I'm like, I don't want to do anything. Just like what you said, like some people bring you down, and sometimes you forget who you are, and you just need to believe in like other people out there help you do that. Yeah. You've done that for me. So thank you. Yeah. Keep crushing it.
Do it. Like, just do it. Like if you're going to, you know, sometimes a little, you know, I'm not telling everyone to drop out of med school, move everywhere. But do it. Like take a chance on yourself. And happiness is key. Like, so seeing you happy, seeing you thriving, being a mom, like that is so inspiring, because it's hard to even be a female in this space. So let alone to be like, I'm pregnant, I'm having a baby, I'm still a fucking rock star, you can't get rid of me type thing is incredible.
I know. It's you know what, it can be difficult, but like it's such a flex on people that are like, oh, that's gonna weigh her down. No, it's gonna make me stronger, right?
Oh, like that's what it is. Absolutely. And you can see it too.
Thank you. Okay, so before we go, where can everybody find you on socials? I'm sure it's right there.
No, you guys can find me on Twitter at Stephie Smalls with 3 L's. I'll say my little line. Tom Brady's 3 L's, 2 to my Giants, 1 to Nick Foles, who I went to college with. And then everything is on there. I have a YouTube channel as well, The Stephie Smalls Show. You guys can go over there. You know, the usual. Go to social media, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. Twitter is my main line, so you guys can catch me there.
Amazing. So thank you guys all for watching Crystal Ballin. Next week, we've got Arizona in the Bay. So I'll be chatting with actually the Cardinals 2022 fan of the year. She's a firecracker. I've never talked to her before, and she seems like an amazing person. So thank you guys wherever you're watching this. It's nearly game time, because I'm going to put this up literally right before the game. As always, I'm sending you guys all the good vibes and fantasy wins this week. Love you guys. Peace.